Let's take a early look at the Trojans schedule and kind of just figure out, okay, where do they sit and how does it match up? Now, we are missing a game. They will play early in that week 0 with an opponent to be determined. So that will be figured out here rather soon. But let's start.
I'll be honest, I have not looked. I did it on purpose. Okay. I did not look at the schedule. I did not look at last year's record for any opponent. I mean, I get an idea when Indiana or anybody pops up. Right, I know what they did, or Michigan. So you want me to base this on how I feel about last year's team?
Yeah,
not the Trojans, but the opponent overall.
Like,
fair enough. Okay.
Yeah, you're the Trojans, and you're like,
judging from the Trojans' ads and changes, how they match up against these teams.
We feel good here. We don't, maybe this will be tougher, that kind of stuff. So let's start. Obviously, week 0, we don't know yet. But when you go to September 5th, you open up, you're at home against Fresno State. I'm sure you're feeling good there.
Beat down, we're 1-0. I'm feeling absolutely good. Respect Fresno State's program. We lose to Fresno State, fire them on the spot. So
then
not going to happen.
The following week, you're home again. It's another G5 team in the Louisiana Raging Cajuns coming to the Coliseum.
The backups will be playing by quarter 3.
Right, okay. Right. Exactly. All right. Now you get into some Big Ten play. Travel across the country, but, you feel good, all these changes, and it's
2 home games to start, right? So you're feeling pretty rested.
You got to travel all the way over to Jersey, but it's Rutgers. So a nice little, which will be your 4th game. I think you're hoping you're 4-0 at this point.
Yeah, I'm assuming we'll 1-0 hopefully with the 0 game. And then you go to Rutgers. Rutgers feels like, Segs, ugly. Now, if you it could be an ugly game, but eventually you end up winning 38-10, 38-17. We should be, depending on the 0 opponent, 4-0. Rutgers is not your biggest test to go on the road. And in truth, after 2 home, at least those 2 back-to-backers with Fresno State and the Raging Cajuns, you should be pretty damn fresh to take on Rutgers. And in truth, Rutgers should not be a threat to the Trojans. 4-0.
All right. And I'm just looking here. The latest talk of week 0 is, let me get this right. It's possibly North Dakota State. I didn't want to get North and South mixed up. It's North Dakota State is the big possibility.
Scary for me, Sigs. I'll tell you why. Program's really friggin' good. They know how to win. If you want USC, if you're North Dakota State, you don't want them in week 7.
Right.
You want them. You want to see because they're coming out tested. I know they'll come out fired up. Sometimes you're over jacked up and you turn the ball over and North Dakota State will be competitive for a while. The attrition, the depth may wear them out. A lot of respect. Matter of fact, to those games you just mentioned, I'd be more concerned about opening against them than Fresno. That's the team that scares me the most in the first 4 because they know how to win. They've had success at another level, but they'll be ready to do some things and show you some stuff that the Trojans are seeing, and they're tough as hell. And they got something to prove because they want to prove they can run with those big boys as well. Dangerous game if you come in thinking that's North Dakota State. And that's one where you're down 14-3, and then you have to turn it around and kick ass. Fortunately, more than likely, whether it's a neutral site or at home. So they'll win, and I'd love to see that game. But that one concerns me more than the other 3 do, Segs. Honest to God.
And we'll get that figured out here in the coming months, and we'll let you know when that is officially finalized. But according to a story I just read, that looks like the early favorite to be the week 0.
I'm all in on it.
So you got the Trojans at 4-0, heading into September 26th. Come back home after the Rutgers game. Now you got Dan Lanning, Dante Moore, and the Oregon Ducks walking into your stadium. How you feel based on the changes made by the Trojans? Jaden Mayava returning as the quarterback, but now you got Dan Lanning and Dante Moore who decided to return as well to go for a national title. This is the first real big test for this Trojans team in 2020.
And they got us on the road. They got us in their building this past year, Segs. Really good. Having the quarterback back's the difference. But I'll tell you what, Oregon's going to see a defense that they haven't seen yet. If it was at Oregon, I'd favor them. Close one, sit on the fence. That game's going to be, a 3-point spread, depending on how we see Oregon coming at a field goal, pick them. I'm going to take the Trojans because it's at home and defense. Gary Patterson's defense will be the difference, and it will be all focused on making sure that Dante Moore doesn't have the type of game that he wants to have.
Yeah, and we'll see how Oregon, who is going to lose some players, but also has a lot of young offensive players that are coming back that
a lot of
are
speed.
and a lot of speed. So, all right, then moving on, you get your big game at home against Washington, another West Coast rival, former Pac-12 team with you. You get maybe Damon Williams is still the quarterback at this point. That story, we'll just have to wait and see how that works throughout the year. But obviously, signs, leaves, and now comes back because of all the controversy surrounding the leaving. How do you feel about them against this Washington team early on?
Now, we're at home on this one, or is it on the road?
Yes, home.
Yeah, home. I've played in that building a bunch at UW, and it's hard, man. It's one of the more underrated buildings to play in.
Yeah,
I would favor Washington there, coming into our building with it. And I'm trying everything I can not to play homer, Segs. The first 6 games are pretty favorable because of where they're located. You're talking about those games you just mentioned. More than likely, right now, think about it, Segs. What, 2 on the road, maybe 1 at a neutral site and 2 on the road, depending on 0 week. I don't know what they're going to do with that.
Yeah,
I don't know how
it looks like it'll be home.
Right, because it's North Dakota State. They come there, you pay them.
Play.
Right.
Like
that's what I meant.
Australia
Somewhere else.
Something crazy.
Right. Exactly. Yeah, playing in Ireland or something. So, Segs, I like the Trojans here. It's going to get tougher, but if they have 1 loss, I'd understand it. But there's a really good look. Oregon gets in the way. Washington's a hell of a program that they should be sitting here undefeated at this point because it's favorable as far as the schedule early and home games.
All right, then you move into the tough stretch of the season. And I mean, this stretch continues with Oregon and Washington. Those will be 2 tough games. But now you got to travel cross country again up to Pennsylvania to take on Penn State and the new Nittany Lions led by Matt Campbell and company. This will probably, we don't have a time on this game. Times always come closer to the season. But if this is a night game, it's a whiteout.
And a whiteout,
Penn State, that, those games are tricky. But this is a Penn State team that's coming off a down year, a lot of changes, a lot of moving parts when it comes to transfer portal, kids leaving, all this stuff. I think I would feel kind of pretty good for going into Happy Valley and taking on this Nittany Lions based on where they sit right now.
There's no doubt. I would they were so overrated last year. That was part of those teams that we were naming that was overrated, had high national championship expectations, and they couldn't get out of their own way, and they were not good. A quarterback didn't play well. They go through. I believe Matt Campbell's impact will be felt. I just don't think it'll be felt the way he expects it to in 2026. Tough place to play. You saw Indiana get stretched to the nth degree and kill that last drive. Trojans are better, more athletic, more team speed. USC goes in there and wins. Should still be, when I say should be, that Oregon and Washington, but having it home. I would understand if there's a loss. There won't be more than 1 loss at this point in the season. Give me the Trojans against Penn State. Penn State, now if this was 2027 and Matt Campbell had been there 2 years, look a little different. They're trying to get their situation settled and make sure they're organized. The Trojans are far more talented than Penn State right now. Give me USC on the road.
And then you have you're traveling to Camp Randall to take on Wisconsin. There's a chance at this point in the season that Luke Fickell is – I had him on the hot seat last year. I thought he should have been out at Wisconsin. There's a chance that his seat is burning or even a change is made at this point in the season, depending on how Wisconsin responds this year. And again, just like going to Happy Valley, this is the time you want to go there when they're coming off this rough season. Same thing for Wisconsin, where they're not where we normally relate Wisconsin to when it comes to football and having to travel to Camp Randall.
Just USC's key, just don't play into their – I don't know, and I like Luke Fickell, but I don't know how he survives this season. I don't think they're very good, Segs. Right. I mean, they'll be physical. They'll try to run it, but as long as we don't play into their game, match them where they get to control the ball and you're a bunch of 3 and outs and give them short fields. The quarterback situation, it's amazing how you go to Wisconsin and they just can't find that guy it's always something different and always a problem. It just is. Whether it's an injury, poor performance, always a problem. I'll be honest with you. Stay on the perimeter and stay away from their strength. I don't think the game's close. I wouldn't have said that 5 years ago, but it's different now, or 10 years ago. Give me the Trojans in this one, and I don't think it's going to be that difficult as long as you don't kill yourself.
Biggest game
at the most, they're 1 loss or undefeated at this point.
And let me make sure this is right. Yeah, so they after Penn State they get a bye, then they go to Wisconsin, and then you got the biggest game of the season. You got the Ohio State Buckeyes, Ryan Day, Julian Sayin, Jeremiah Smith, and all this talent that they have. Even losing what they're going to lose to the NFL draft, they're still going to bring a ton of talent to LA, and they're going to try and beat you in your house. And I think this is the game we will look at and say, this game and the Oregon game, and then the next game we talk about are the three games where it's like USC needs to show up, they need to play physical, and you can beat these teams.
And you know what's interesting, Segs, about this? We talk about a tough schedule, but this is a favorable tough schedule for USC. Yeah. I mean, to me, the way Oregon tough, Washington tough. Yes, Oregon, Washington, and Ohio State in your own building,
all at home.
Come on now, man. But I'm telling you right now, Segs, just for trying to keep it real. Quarterback who's really good against that quarterback, team speed for them. There's a lot to like. Very similar, Segs. Athletic with speed, or can punish you running the ball. Now we know Ohio State's offensive line moves it. SC's got their guys come back. They're going to commit to running the ball. This is going to be a phenomenal game. Give me Ohio State in this one. I'll just say Ohio State comes in and beats them. We'll take that loss. So they got one loss on this. But when people say it's a brutal schedule, it's really not. As you look at the rest of the schedule, 3 difficult games all in your own building. You want to get fired? Lose 2 of them.
And I think why it looks so difficult, but it's something we just talked about. It's that Penn State and Wisconsin are coming off down years, and those are your road games, your big road games, besides the next game we're going to talk about, that you get those 2 teams on the road at the right time. If this was normal Penn State, normal Wisconsin, now you're talking about a murderer's row of Oregon, Washington, Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State. And then after Ohio State, you got to go travel to Bloomington to take on the reigning national champions. Now they don't have Fernando Mendoza, but Curt Cignetti, who just got another extension today and more money added to his contract today, are going to be waiting there in Bloomington in another massive matchup in a 2-week span where you're playing arguably the 2 best teams in football, the 2 latest national champions you face in 2 weeks.
Yeah. Shanks, who do you think is going to be tougher? And I'll answer your question. Who do you think is going to be tougher? Ohio State at home or Indiana on the road?
Let me ask you this. Game? Are you talking tougher in terms of physicality and what they're going to bring?
No, I'm talking
or just
tougher to beat.
Overall, just
tougher to beat. Tougher to beat.
I would still say Ohio State, just because.
Me too.
I think just the type of play Julian Sayin in his second year, I think is going to explode. They're going to be tough to beat, and this is coming from a Michigan fan. I think Julian Sayin has been the best quarterback Ohio State's had in a few years. And I think his second year is going to explode even more. And Jeremiah Smith is going to be, fighting for that Heisman Trophy. He's going to be fighting for that number 1 pick in the draft, even as a wide receiver. I think Ohio State will be the tougher route, but traveling to Bloomington is going to be tough.
Segs, and I'm sitting here trying to think, okay, where's Indiana at this point? Losing the 3rd year in a row, they'll be with their 3rd starting quarterback, and they have been to the playoff twice. Can they continue this magic of who'd they get in the portal? Segs, Cignetti's awesome. Who'd they get for the quarterback? Do we remember?
Josh Hoover from TCU.
That's right. That's TCU. That's a good player.
Yep.
Segs, in any other year, I'd be saying, are you really telling me this is a game? We're going to the Bloomington, dude. We're kicking their ass.
Right.
The fact that if they beat Ohio, put it this way, they're losing one of those. SC is Ohio State or Indiana. If they get beat by Ohio State, I feel good about Indiana. If they curb stomp Ohio State, I'm not sure I feel too good, because you rolled that possibly undefeated. You're going into it and thinking, well, when does this magic wear off? And hell, Indiana may be undefeated this time. I'm going to say favorite will be Indiana. The Trojans can go win that game until Hoover proves that he can do what Mendoza did. Segs, to continue this run would be unbelievable for Indiana. Through all this, 1 loss when you get to Maryland. How's that?
Okay.
How's that?
I like it. I like
1
it.
loss when you get to Maryland.
They're down. They're not, they're not as good as they've been even in the last couple of years. So I think Maryland, you got to feel comfortable with at this point.
They're not losing to Maryland, and they're not losing to UCLA, and I don't give a shit where they play them. Yeah, they're going to kick their ass.
Game,
okay.
UCLA.
Yes.
Okay, so I mean, if you're talking a 1 loss,
maximum 2, Segs, max 2. You may get an Oregon, Washington, Indiana, one of those to steal one. This team at the end of the year has 10 wins, max 2 losses, possibly 1 loss. And you know what's missing from that schedule, Segs? What's missing from that schedule? Tell me what's missing from that schedule.
Michigan.
Well, how about Notre Dame?
Scared. Yes.
Embarrassing, dude.
Yeah.
It's the fact that I'm looking at a USC schedule that doesn't have Notre Dame on there wants me to throat punch both people, any of the people who made the decision. You're going through it and you're saying one of these things is not like the other, and it's a bummer because, well, then I'd say that now the schedule gets a little tougher if Notre Dame's on there instead of one of the other ones like a Fresno State or something. So 2 loss max, 1 loss very possible, and it'll come in that Ohio State, Washington, Indiana area.
Okay, I like that. I think,
and they will be in the playoff.
Yeah, a one-loss team, a one-loss USC puts them in the Big Ten championship game, which
there's no doubt
is a lock.
A 2-loss still will keep them in the playoffs.
Yes.
I agree.